Ohio Republican, Congressman Jim Jordan. Jim, it's always good to have you here on Newsmax TV.
Good to be with you, JD.
So what's the deal, Jim? Give us the latest on the plan for today.
I mean, yeah, the first thing is you said so-called clean. That's right. I mean, the clean version would actually be one that's consistent with the federal judge's ruling. I mean, think about this, JD. The Democrats continue to insist that they want to maintain the ability to fund something that everyone knows is unconstitutional and a federal judge has ruled is unlawful. So, I mean, that's just a ridiculous position they have. We've sent over their bill that funds the department at the levels Democrats agreed to. Democrats are fine with the spending levels. So we sent a bill over there at their levels. All we've said is we think it's important to remember we took an oath to uphold the Constitution. People know what the president did in November was unconstitutional. A federal judge has ruled it's unlawful. Let's keep that language in there to protect that, and let's fund DHS. And they still say no. So we'll see what happens. Look, we're discussing this. One of the things we've talked about is possibly linking the CR to the Senate, making sure the Senate names conferees, and we actually go to conference, and the process works the way it's supposed to, versus just a clean CR.
Well, in some quarters, it has been suggested that the House could amend what the Senate sends over, send it back, and then the Senate Republicans would only have to get 51 votes instead of the usual 60. Why not that course of action?
Well, they would still need 60 votes to bring it up. But I'm for amending it. Well, the one thing we're not for is the clean DHS bill. We're certainly not for that. We know that's the wrong approach. So we'll see how it shakes out today. We're still having discussions with our colleagues. We think it's important to stand up for the position we told the American people we were for, the position they elected us to fight for, the position we know that's the fair position. I mean, JD, we learned in the last 3 weeks that the 5 million people that are involved in the president's decision, unconstitutional executive amnesty decision, those 5 million people, we know that they can go back now 3 years and get tax refunds. We know that they can get Social Security numbers. How is that fair to taxpayers? How is that fair to people in older Americans in our Social Security system? We heard from our Secretary of State, John Husted, who came and testified in Congress and said, now that they're going to be eligible for Social Security cards and a driver's license, the potential for illegal non-citizens to participate in our election process is very big. And so we've seen some of that take place. And so all those reasons show why it's unfair, as well as being, in our judgment, unconstitutional.
And not only did your Ohio Secretary of State come and testify a couple of weeks ago, you had some interesting testimony on the Hill that we'll get to after the break yesterday in a subcommittee hearing. But Jim, let me move to another topic very quickly. You're involved in that select committee on Benghazi. Documents obtained by Judicial Watch reveal that Hillary Clinton's top advisors knew immediately that the assault on Benghazi was an armed attack. What is next for the select committee? We've got about a minute.
Well, we're continuing to interview people, the eyewitnesses who were there on the ground that night. We continue to push the State Department to comply with a subpoena. I mean, JD, we sent a subpoena a year and a half ago. We've still yet to receive the documents that were a part of that subpoena. So that is certainly the most frustrating part of that investigation. But we're going to get to the truth, and everybody knows this idea that this was a video that was the catalyst. Everyone knows that narrative wasn't true. So obviously what Judicial Watch was able to get through a FOIA demonstrates that fact. But the key thing is get to the truth for the American people, for the taxpayers of this country, and most importantly, for the families of the 4 Americans who gave their lives for their country that night.
Absolutely. That is the primary concern. Jim Jordan, a lot of this, you're telling me about Homeland Security funding. What I used to tell folks, what we still say in broadcasting, stay tuned. We want everybody watching us to stay tuned, because when we come back, we'll have more with Congressman Jordan, specifically Jim questioning a very reluctant bureaucrat. That's ahead on America's Forum. Guest, Congressman Jim Jordan, a little frustrated yesterday with an IRS bureaucrat in a subcommittee hearing, just trying to get it straight. Yeah. Are illegals getting Obamacare? And what about possible tax subsidy to those illegals coming in courtesy of the president's constitutional, not constitutional, but executive amnesty that is unconstitutional by our lights? Let's continue our conversation with the Ohio Republican, Congressman Jim Jordan. Jim, wow.
Yeah,
You know, they say those of us in public office won't give a yes or no answer. Come on, wow.
yeah. No, he was asked repeatedly on a number of issues and just wouldn't answer the questions. Here's the guy who runs the marketplace for the Affordable Care Act, for Obamacare. I mean, it's frustrating because, as I said, JD, we've learned that illegal non-citizens are going to be able to go back and get tax refunds. We have learned that they're going to get Social Security cards. We have learned that because the president gave them this amnesty, that legal immigrants are probably going to take longer for them to get through the process, and thereby be unfair to them. And then yesterday we said, well, if they're getting all these benefits, might they also be getting tax subsidies through the Affordable Care Act and actually sign up there? And the only thing that Mr. Cunahan would tell us was that, oh, we got this great process, we make sure that doesn't happen. But I said, well, I want to be assured that no one is getting those benefits. And he wouldn't answer the question, which sort of leads you to believe if they're getting tax breaks, they might in fact be getting some kind of subsidy and be a part of the Affordable Care Act. We'll never know because he won't answer the question and won't give us the data.
Well, if he's not giving you the answers, that indicates to me, from my background on the Hill, that they're moving forward with that money, both in terms of tax credits and in terms of Obamacare. Something else out there, Jim, what is it, $3 billion that was not authorized in spending, somehow missing from the Treasury, I guess devoted to Obamacare? What can you tell us about that?
We're still looking at that, JD. Don't know. But, you know, this is the sad state of affairs today in our great country is with this administration, you almost wake up every day and nothing surprises you. I mean, the fact that you can't get the State Department to give you information regarding the deaths of 4 Americans, information you requested a year and a half ago, the fact that the IRS was actually targeting people for exercising their most fundamental rights, their rights to speak in a political nature, speak against the policies of their government, and they were harassed and targeted for doing so. It's a direct violation of our most fundamental and cherished liberties, our First Amendment free speech right. The fact that we now know that the president, just on his own, said to 5 million illegal non-citizens, here you go, and by the way, here are the benefits we're going to confer on you, and the potential for them to get tax refunds, the potential for them to participate in our life. And so every single day you wake up and it's something else, and that's what's so frustrating, and not just frustrating, obviously, to us, but frustrating to every single American, what they see happening in their government.
In that litany of the current ills that you just chronicled for us, Jim Jordan, inspired by this administration, you talked about First Amendment rights to political expression and IRS targeting. Speaking on that topic, in terms of the IRS, we understand now that investigators say they have recovered about 32,000 emails related to the conduct of Lois Lerner, perhaps some of her emails. What can you add to that bare bones report?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, remember the history here. The IRS knew in February of last year that they had lost the backup tapes that contained Lois Lerner's emails. They waited 4 months to tell Congress and therefore the American people that had happened. Once they told us, within 2 weeks, the Inspector General in their investigation found that they hadn't lost them, that those tapes were actually there, and they began working on recovering Lois Lerner's emails. And as you said, we have 32,000 of those that they've recovered. We've yet to get those. They're checking whether they may have been in other sources or what. But we're going to get those. And then just 2 weeks ago, they found more tapes. And last night in a hearing, the Inspector General for the Treasury indicated that there's the potential. There's actual criminal liability here. They couldn't comment on specifics because it's an ongoing investigation, but the fact that there may be criminal action regarding the lost backup tapes that contain Ms. Lerner's emails, I think is pretty big news.
And it would not only affect Lois Lerner, but presumably whomever was obfuscating the information or holding it out. About 30 seconds left.
Certainly.
Do you just get the sense that these guys are going into a slow down, go slow game to run out the rest of this administration? 20 seconds for the response.
Yeah, no, they've done on everything. Fast and Furious, Benghazi, the IRS, Obamacare, healthcare.gov, everything is drag your feet, slow walk, everything, the information we ask, the subpoenas we send. Yeah, that's their MO, and I don't see it changing one bit, only getting worse.
And speaking of time, unfortunately, we are out of it right now. Congressman Jim Jordan, Republican of Ohio, we thank you for your time, and America's Forum will be right back.